All right, so just wanted to do a quick demo of constraints with swapping hands and all that kind of fun stuff. So I've mimicked like a proxy prop, right? Some sort of a prop here with the controller. Now, if you have built-in prop controllers on your character, this makes this even easier, but this is assuming you don't have those. So this is the way I recommend it. It makes life pretty easy. It's pretty simple. And let's just get into it. So I have a script that runs this for me, and this is something that you definitely would want to start to script. It's a simple thing to make, but essentially you would just go create, and you create a empty group. So we have that at the origin there, and you're going to create a locator. Now I do this because the group is going to be constrained, and the locator is going to be what you animate on. And doing it this way with the group and the locator, you can't accidentally grab the group because it's invisible, right? Next thing up is you want to think about when you're making like the parent for this, which what you're going to constrain the group to. You want to find something that's going to follow the IK and the FK, right? Which on Norman here is this palm controller. It's an easy one that's going to follow both, or this this EX controller. I really recommend against constraining to like the FK or the IK hand, because obviously if you end up switching for whatever reason, it's not going to follow that anymore, right? So you want to pick something that's going to be in both places. I'm going to use the palm controller just because it's closer to the hand, and the EX, and it also follows with the hand rotations, where like the EX doesn't follow with that. So that's the logic behind that. So basically you pick what the parent's going to be, and then you add the group, and you're going to do a constraint parent. And I always recommend doing with no offset in this kind of a setup. That's because it makes it really easy to rebuild if something breaks, and you know what values mean, right? Because if it has no offset, you know it's going to go right back to this. Ideally, this controller would be you would have like a controller like this that would be actually at the palm, because then it's, I don't know, it just visually and just mentally it makes things make a little bit more sense. But this is the origin point now for any prop animation, rotation, etc. So I'm going to use the local scale, not the scale, but the local scale down here to make this visually bigger, not technically bigger. And then, so what you're going to do is, you assume, let's say like this thing was up here, and we're going to go ahead in time, and it's going to fall down into his hand. Pop, right? Just like that. And I'm not going for animation prettiness. I'm just going for demo here. So you'll see it's not constrained by anything, and it falls into his hand, and he's going to catch it. So let's just make sure we set the keys on some stuff. You usually have selected steps for this, so I'm just being a little messy. So here it is. So at this point is when you would make your group and your null locator constrain the group to the consistent parent controller, and then take the locator, shift select the object. You can go to modify, match transforms, match all transforms. So that just puts this locator in that exact spot. So easy peasy. This is now the parent. So select the locator, shift select the controller, constraint, parent, without offset, boom, right? And again, the maintain offset being off, or the offset being off makes this like consistent and reliable. And there's just math under the hood. If you want to get into it, it makes a lot of sense. If you don't want to get into it, don't worry about it. So just trust me. So here I just kind of tweaked the position in the hand because it was bugging me. And then I just realized that's a good point to show you. So what I just did is I tweaked the point of this. This is now fully constrained the entire time, right? I can go to this frame and say blendParent on, boop, and turn it off. And you'll see that this is kind of fucked up. I just need to quote unquote update this position now that it's in this constrained spot. So I just rekey. And if you watch the graph editor, as I key, it's not making any big difference. you might think, but it's actually the keys while it's constrained indicate the world position value if you were to turn off the constraint. So I just had to re-hit translate rotate key, which I use Shift W and Shift E, because I don't like hitting S, because S is going to key these things and potentially this stuff, and I don't really need any of that stuff keyed. So now it's in the hand, and oh yeah, backing up, blendParent. So this is the main thing you're going to be animating with if you have one prop and just one hand to deal with. blendParent says, am I constrained or am I not constrained? You don't need to worry about keying this unless you're changing who I'm constrained to, because that's what the weight of the constraint is. Who do I follow? Who do I listen to? And this is, do I listen to anybody or not? Like just top level. So that's why I go to the previous frame, I just turn it off, and the curves are doing everything for me, and it's not popping. I can even change his hand to be here, right? And you're gonna be like, oh, that's gonna be a big pop. It's coming down and popping. And I can do all sorts of stuff. I can like reposition it so it actually lands flat into his hand, right? And I'm just moving the locator, right? The parent controller. And this is gonna pop, and you're like, oh, what the hell? Again, literally just re-key the translate rotate, and it just fixes its destination. Because if this constraint is off, so if I turn that blendParent off, it's still going to go to the same spot. It's still trying to do the same thing. You're just saying, hey, at this point, now you're constrained, right? So then let's say we move forward in time. Now it's constrained to this hand, and he's going to hand it to the other hand. So this hand's coming over here, and this hand comes over here. It says, thank you, please. So you could like have it drop, you can have it do whatever, but let's just say, just for the sake of like showing how cool this is, it's just a direct transfer to the other hand. So again, I have a new constraint, so I want to make this new little like temp rig thing. So I'm going to make an empty group. That's the origin. Oh, you have to make sure you have nothing selected. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When you do this, so create empty group. Oh, Maya, please create empty group. So then create a locator, put the locator under the group, and then constrain the group to the, just like the parent controller, and then the group, constrain, parent, and that snaps it to that spot. Then I just take this locator and I say, hey, locator, get a little bit bigger so I can see it a little better. And then shift select the prop that I want to now control. And I'm just going to do a quick modify, match all transforms. So again, all that did was it just puts it in the exact same spot. So I'm going to make sure I set a key on this guy. Then I have this selected, and I shift select this guy, the prop controller, and I do another constraint parent. So I'm not turning the constraint off in between here. He's just getting a new parent. And you'll see temporarily everything's kind of messed up. If I scrub around, oh fuck, oh, my animation broke. No, it didn't. It didn't. You're fine. This is where you just want to figure out some logic here. So if this is where the new hand is going to take over, like just you want to figure out what's going to make sense in the context of your move, how and when these switch. So let's just say here it's going to be keyed like this, and then here I'm going to just swap these keys. So you'll see I have this little crisscross keys here. It's just switching who's the parent. So then now from this frame forward, this hand controls it. And I have this locator, and because you don't want it, like things don't like constrain into a hand and turn into concrete, right? You want to be able to animate them inside the hand. So now I can kind of roll this into the hand. I see this one grabs it. Right. So now I've got this really easy, clean trade-off. This hand controls it. And again, this very simple method with very few keys means I can have him swap it above his head now, right? So this is where like, oh, maybe that logic was off. Maybe I'm going to shift this over one frame, because I don't want to have extra keys. I don't want to have a key in front and behind all of this unless I really have to. So let's just say he's going to move his hand all the way up here like this, and this thing's gonna, it'll just be in his hand like that, right? So then his hand, I can update the position really easily. Just like this. I'm gonna fix the elbow because that just bugs me. And then literally all I have to do is find this locator. It's going to be the new parent, and I just shift select this controller of the prop, and then I do another modify match all transforms. So that just like gets it to snap. And this is where the whole theory of working with zero offsets comes into super handy, because there's no offset between this locator and the prop controller, so I can just easily snap it to it up, and then let's just drop it into the hand and up, and let's put the hand here. So choop, choop. Right. So it's that easy. And what's really cool is I don't have to make a new constraint. I can actually, obviously I can like take the hand and I can, you know, have him go like this, and then let's go here, and he's gonna like throw it up into the air. And now I'm going to, at this point, it's gonna start to roll through his hand. It's still constrained, but then on this next frame, I want it to let go. So that's where I come to the blend parent, and I set a key on this frame, and I go to the next frame and I say, now you're not constrained by anything anymore. Go forward a few frames, get a little flick in that wrist, because this is just such beautiful animation. And now this is not constrained by anything. I can just go up here and it can flick. Oh, of course, I flipped it the wrong way. Flip it this way, right? And then it's going to come back down. And I'm going to have the hand catch it, hand ready to catch it. And let's just have it pop into the hand now. So now I'm going to just put the controller, I'm just going to pose it, right? Because all that matters is the pose. So I'm just going to make sure I pose it in the right spot. And let's just make sure this hand kind of comes down a little bit more. That makes a little more sense. And pop. And we can all agree that the last time this was in the hand, in the right hand, the flat part was in the hand, right? The flat part was down. Now let's just make it pointy part down, just for the sake of just demonstration. Again, I just take the same locator that I had before, match it to that spot, make sure it's keyed, that's good. So I just key this frame. I can say, I can leave the blendParent off on this frame, and I go to the next frame and I just turn it on. So then that means at that point, this hand controls it again. So again, with one locator, one constraint, there's on this prop controller, I literally only have one parent constraint, and it has two parent inputs. So then let's just say in this meantime, this hand was coming down here and is ready for it to drop into this hand. Right. So then this hand's gonna go this and go up to here. And you saw me like trade it off between hands with like the same frame. It doesn't lose constraint in between, like what happened here. It was constrained the whole time between the two hands. Catches it up, and then he's going to drop it. And then again, just like when I just tossed it up, I can just set the key here to update the world space position, set the blend parent, key it off, and then I can just have this fall. This hand catches it, and then I just take this locator, shift select this guy, the controller, to just match the spot. So then all I have to do at this point, key this, go to the next frame, key it on. You're like, oh crap, I went to the wrong hand. No, that's fine. It's just because these weren't swapped. So we can say this is now the parent. And remember, the parent weights can go up infinitely, I assume. That just starts to make some sort of math of the ratio of the different blends between them. For animation, really, we just have to think about ones and zeros. So just type it in. So then that just, I didn't key it last time here. So I just want to make sure that if I look at these curves, you know, this one should still be 0 and this one should still be 1, right? So I just need to remember that, like, I need to block out those keys so that it's following the left hand. Now it's following the right hand. This can happen at any stage before the frame that it becomes constrained again. Here, it happens across one frame because I'm changing parent across one frame. And again, I can tweak this so that he catches it straight ahead. This is the new frame. So I can like just tweak this position so it's like a direct transfer. And all I need to do is just grab this locator, shift select the controller, and modify match all transforms. So obviously I use match all transforms a lot. So yes, it is a hotkey of mine. Throw it up, catch it, drop it. The other hand catches it. It's really that easy. It shouldn't be any sweat or stress. And this also gives you the ability to, you know, like I said before, you can manipulate it while it's inside the hand. It's free to do. You can bake this out, and you have one clean translation, right? You have one channel that's doing all the work for you. And what that means is, like, you could be doing this with an offset controller, but if there was like a child offset controller of this that you're doing to position it inside the hand, you have to blend that on and off. Otherwise, you could end up with a situation where you have this is here, the offset's over, the parent's over here, and it's gonna be rotating from some weird spot. So you need to like figure out how to blend that off, or like do a one frame transfer of where you turn off the offset, and then your curves are going to be wonky, and you can't just have an auto tangent that's going to smoothly go from one to the next. Yeah, I mean, this was a little longer than I hoped it to be, but it's hopefully more thorough and clear explanation of how to just work with constraints without any stress. And all it takes is a group and a locator and one key. Well, two keys if you count blendParent on off, right? Why that's not working. There we go. It's just the one frame you go, I'm not constrained, I'm constrained, I'm not constrained, I'm constrained, you know, kind of a thing. Technically, if you had step keys, it could just be one key. I wouldn't even need this. I do it this way just because it's visual. I can see the key ticks. And this key tick aligns with the key of the placement, because, you know, if I were to move this, it's going to have a pop unless I update that position by just rekeying it. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully that wasn't too boring or too long, and hopefully it was thorough and you get to understand how I approach using props, switching hands with zero stress. And oh yeah, so this is obviously in following the hand. So this is showing you, again, if I were to switch between FK and IK, it still stays local to the hand. And it's not like, if I made the parent of this null, the IK hand, it would just stay there and I wouldn't be able to take advantage of IK, FK switching. Yada, yada, yada. So again, yeah, hopefully this made sense and is helpful. And yeah, it's definitely just like a good entry-level script to make, to just take, because then you can start to have this make a lot more sense, because you can script it to read the name of the prop and the name of the parent. And this can be all super nice and clean and make sense. So instead of just locator one, it would likely say like right hand, you know. So now you know this is the right hand prop locator. Like I have it like set up so like the group says what the parent is and the locator says what the constraint is and all this kind of stuff. There's like this referential naming, but you don't have to go that far. Just to select a parent and select a child and just have this boom set up where it creates an empty group, constrains the group to the parent, makes a locator, puts it under there with no offset, moves that to the prop, constrains the prop to that, one click button. And if anyone wants to do that, you can hit me up and I can, work you through a quick class of a simple constraint, or I mean, simple script. Sorry. Yeah, happy animating.